Omega Force from Koei Tecmo, the team that worked on Dragon Quest Builders 2, teamed up with Game Freak to create a game that is a mix of Dragon Quest Builders, Animal Crossing, and Minecraft. To be clear, the gameplay loop is addictive, but there are several things about this game that can be so tedious, stressful, and I barely saw anyone mention them in online discussions. These things might not bother some players, but they frustrated me and they might frustrate you too. So by the end of this video, you will know exactly who Pokopia is for, and you can decide if this is gonna be a buy or a skip for you. But let's get a couple of disclaimers out of the way. The first one is that I'm new to Pokemon, so I'm probably gonna butcher a lot of names. I'm so sorry for that. The second disclaimer is that I bought my own digital copy of the game. Nintendo UK sent me a care package that I'm gonna unbox in a short video, but you already know how we do things on this channel. This will not influence how I think about the game. You're still gonna get the good and the bad. And after this video, I've got 50 beginner tips and tricks for you that you can find in the pinned comment. If you don't see it right now, it will probably go live tomorrow. So, a quick spoiler-free look at the story. You play as a Ditto who has the ability to transform into other Pokemon, and so you customize your character based on the Ditto's memory of their trainer. In the beginning, the options are pretty limited. You choose your skin tone, hairstyle, hair color, your top, bottom, bag, and shoe color, but you're gonna unlock more later in the game, and you can change your appearance at any time. Then you name yourself, and off you go to meet Tangrowth, the professor who will help you on your journey of understanding why humans and Pokemon have disappeared. The story is told through progressing a set of main quests that you can track on your phone. These are given by Tangrowth and other Pokemon that you meet. But another way to understand more about the story is through these human records that you're gonna find around the map. They're gonna be in the form of letters, diary entries, photos, and more. So piece by piece, you'll get a better understanding of the world and what happened. And I gotta say, myself and chat were having a blast reading through the dialogue. There's lots of, humor thrown in there, but also some moments where it can go a little bit dark. So yeah, there's a mix of a little bit of seriousness, here and there, but the rest of it is pretty playful. But what about the gameplay loop, the bread and butter, what you're gonna be doing pretty much most of the time? You begin playing in the withered wasteland. Everything around you is dried up and dull, but soon you understand that you can unlock Pokemon habitats. These are areas that require specific items to spawn different Pokemon. For example, Ortal Grass spawns Bulbasaur, Squirtle, Charmander, and these are 3 of the very first Pokemon you'll meet on your journey, but things are not that simple. While this first habitat can easily spawn these 3, with Charmander only appearing when it's either sunny or cloudy, you learn that the time of day can also influence which Pokemon appears. I initially thought that the placement of the items would change which Pokemon appears, but turns out it doesn't matter how objects are placed. What matters more is the weather and time conditions, with some Pokemon being rare to find. And this is where the first turnoff can show up for some of you. This game requires daily logins. Now, I tested time travel on stream yesterday and no penalty happened. But I know that some of you simply don't want to be bothered with having to go to your Switch's settings and constantly changing the time of day or what day it is to play. I don't mind daily logins, and I said during stream that I would not be using the time travel feature if I was playing this game by myself. However, because I am a content creator and we need to see what the Pokemon Center is gonna look like, I had to time travel, but I enjoy games that require daily visits and rewards me for it. And the last one that gave me this was Hello Kitty Island Adventure, which is almost a year ago. I don't know where time flies. And in Pokopia, there seems to be events that will be part of the game, with one that is starting on the 9th of March until the 24th. So looks like we can meet 3 new Pokemon, which can later move into our island if I understood this correctly. With your daily logins, you get rewarded with timestamps that you can then exchange for life coins. These coins are used in the PC next to the Pokemon Center that you're gonna be tasked to build as part of the main objective in the first area. Note that I said the first area, we're gonna come back to this in a little bit. On your PC, you're gonna get daily challenges along with other more general tasks to complete. Think of these as Nook Miles that you get in Animal Crossing New Horizons if you've played it before. So challenges are like talk to X amount of Pokemon, pick up Y number of sticks, revive Z amount of trees, And on that same PC, you can also use the shop where you can redeem life coins for various recipes, items, as well as quality of life improvements. One of these quality of life improvements is getting more backspace and a bigger PP. The amount of unhinged comments in chat about PP, like of all names they could have used. Heck, even stamina. PP specific. Why? Why? Anyways, what is your PP? It is the stamina meter in the game which you see down here. This sounds so wrong, but moving on. You see, when you find new Pokemon, many of them have a list of specialties. Some will require you to ask a Pokemon to follow you. For example, Bellsprout has the Grow specialty that helps plants grow faster, and it has the Litter specialty which makes it drop useful materials near its home. Other Pokemon, like Squirtle, have the ability to give you their power, and then you can transform into them and use your PP meter to do various actions. Squirtle gives you the water gun that you can use to revive dried grass, wilted trees and flowers, dry terrain, etc. Bulbasaur gives you the leafage ability that lets you create grass. Drillbur gives you the rototill ability that you can use to quickly till the soil to plant crops. Now these Pokemon will also have requests for you which are essential to progression, since completing some of them will allow you to get more skills. For example, Scyther teaches you how to cut things like grass, flower, and wood logs. And when you complete one of Scyther's requests, you're going to be able to give them logs which they can turn into lumber. And by the way, lumber is also one of the many other features that will require IRL time to pass by until you can get what you've asked for. I like the concept of using Pokemon as makers rather than having to set both makers and Pokemon down. I think that would be an absolute nightmare because you already have 300 Pokemon that you can catch and house, so imagine adding makers on top. Yeah, that's not gonna be fun at all. These Pokemon also have requirements so they feel happy, and it comes in the form of raising their comfort level. If you've played Dragon Quest Builders 2, then you're probably familiar with the fanciness where you have to put more decor for your room to make it more fancy. Here, your Pokemon have a list of things that they like, as well as specific ideal habitats that they would like to live in. So, thinking of Gumi, its favorite things are luxury, lots of water, lots of nature, sweet flavors, etc. And its ideal habitat is humid, so having their habitat or home next to a water source like a waterfall, pond, or the like will increase their comfort level. You can check the comfort level of all Pokemon by using the PC, and it divides them into no home if they don't have one, iffy if they're not happy, average if they feel okay, or nice if they like their space. You can ask Pokemon how they feel and they will tell you if they need something to increase their comforts. For instance, it might be that they want a toy to be added, maybe a relaxation item, decoration, or the like. The Pokemon are so cute and I love how they interact with each other. You can also listen to what they're talking about. For example, Panzer and Heracross were arguing over whose horn is better. Other times you might catch them playing tag together. Pokemon will also demand your attention, and it can get overwhelming when so many of them want to talk to you. All of them are rushing to you and they're like, hi, talk to me. Because they either want to give you a gift, or they want to tell you that you are now their BFF, or they might want to play a game with you. And if for whatever reason they're not talking to you themselves, you can initiate a chat with them and give them gifts to raise your friendship. Another aspect that can become overwhelming for you is managing all of the habitats. You see, when you find one habitat for a Pokemon, they will occupy it. And unless you move them to a home, which you can either build block by block, or you can use a pre-made kit for it, that said habitat won't spawn a new Pokemon since it's already occupied. Pre-made kits and buildings take IRL time, so they might take a few minutes or up to a whole day like the Pokemon Center does. Within the first game session, I had 15 Pokemon with 15 habitats all over the place, and the area already felt so desolate, it was so damaged, and you can hear me on stream say many times like, oh my god, I don't know where to even start, this is a lot to deal with. And funny enough, this is the biggest comparison that I can have to Animal Crossing. If you've played it it in 2020 when everyone was playing Animal Crossing New Horizons nonstop. Do you remember when some people were doing the most insanely beautiful builds and you would feel so intimidated because you're like, well, my island looks like an absolute tomato. Yeah, this feelings happens in Pokopia as well, and it might push you to start rushing your progress because you want to get the best decor and the best blocks and the best X, Y, and Z. So I would really emphasize remembering to enjoy this game and play it at your own pace without rushing. And remember when I said that we're gonna come back to the first area that I mentioned? Well, this withered wasteland is not the only area you get access to. As you play, you're gonna unlock these gates that take you to other areas, and oh my gosh, is this game overall massive. Now, my ADHD brain loves this because one of the things that I was worried about was, how is this game going to make exploration feel rewarding? I love Dragon Quest Builders too, I love RPGs, and I love when a game rewards my curiosity. And thankfully, Pokopia does reward your curiosity. First, you have these traces that you can find in the shape of sparkles on the floor. These will give you hints about habitats and Pokemon that you have not unlocked yet. You also have these Pokeballs that are scattered all around the world. So far, I can see that the red ones give you items like blocks and materials, whereas the gold ones give you recipes or rare materials. There are so many of them everywhere. Some are in plain sight, others are hidden inside damaged buildings, caves, and other secret areas. Also, in every new region, you get access to new materials from new items, decor, building blocks. So it's very similar to Dragon Quest Builders 2, but I would argue this one made me feel a lot more overwhelmed than Dragon Quest Builders 2 made me feel. You also find these CDs that you can later play. There's also these records that we talked about in the beginning where you can understand more about the story. And you even have these relics that you can get appraised by Tangrowth. The game is so slow in the beginning, which I like if it's done right, and thankfully it's done right in this game. Pokopia's slow progress is linked to constant rewards, and the amount of times that you see me on stream just squirrel and literally go from place to place, and even how many times I said, oh, 1 more hour, guys. However, with exploration, there's one thing that bothered me, and it's probably gonna bother you too, especially if you suffer from motion sickness. In the settings, you can choose how far the camera will be from you, which is great. However, that setting does not matter when you are inside a cave, a tight space, or even when you're trying to smash things or build. At one point, you see me on stream say like, guys, I feel claustrophobic, just get me out of here, please. I got really irritated when the camera was super close to my character. It did not make me want to stop playing, but it did bother me, so you should be aware of this. Moving to the other big part of this game, which is customization. This is reminiscent of Dragon Quest Builders 2, where you can build things block by block, or you can use kits. You also get various recipes for items, furniture, decor, pathways, you name it, you've got it. Using your smash ability lets you quickly damage blocks and put things down. You also have this neat feature where you press ZL when placing things down, and then you can adjust their position and their height. However, breaking things down does feel inaccurate a lot of the times. Also, many times when you're trying to just smash blocks, you're gonna see your character keep climbing the blocks even when you unlock the jump feature, so this can get in the way a lot of the time. Apart from that, you have your crafting bench that can pull items from the storage box nearby, which is amazing. But I'm surprised as to why we don't have a auto stack feature. Like, you can auto sort, but you do not have auto stack, which is pretty annoying. And I also wish that we have a feature like My Time at Sandrock where we can switch between storage boxes. And speaking of storage and boxes and all of that, inventory in the beginning is so limited. Now, I have some tips to overcome that in my tips and tricks video, but in the beginning, like, man oh man, can it get really tedious. On a positive note, when crafting, you can bulk craft. So unlike Animal Crossing, which took 6 years to give us this very basic quality of life feature, we have it here. And speaking of Animal Crossing, you're gonna see that the UI is obviously very similar, and so are the sound effects. And I gotta say, I love how relaxing the music is in Pokopia. In general, I think we can use more quality of life features. Like in my recent before you pre-ordered video, I was happy to see that previews reported some good quality of life features. However, we still lack many of them right now, which can be annoying for you, and it was pretty annoying for me as well. Apart from the camera, the finicky controls, and the storage, which we talked about, in the beginning you're also gonna see your screen quickly getting cluttered with things like the tutorial and the habitat. And I wish either they were a bit smaller, or if we were given an option to toggle this information on or off, or we can play around with how big or small these notifications are going to be. Another thing that is irritating is that the challenges that you find in the PC to earn life coins can only be tracked from the PC itself. I don't know if you unlock something later on to make it easier to track. You can enable notifications for when you complete something, but having access to them on the phone would just make a lot more sense so we can easily see what we need to work on next without having to rush back to the PC every single time. Unlike Animal Crossing, there is no bug catching or fishing. Fishing is more so in the form of you jumping in the water surface when there's a sparkle level, and then you press A quickly to get some items. Then you have Drifloon, which I just learned about its story, and goodness me, is that Pokemon very dark? Anyway, you use it to go to new islands, similar to Treasure Islands in Animal Crossing, or the islands that you travel to in Dragon Quest Builders 2. By using one of the dolls that you find, you can access these treasure islands, which have specific material that you can collect. If you want to go to another island type, you're gonna have to use another doll, and that means you have to wait to the next day. But you can still use the same doll multiple times in the same day. And when it comes to the quality of life features, it is difficult to know like what is available and what isn't. For example, in the beginning you cannot jump, but then you can unlock that ability. Or in the beginning you have very small chests, but then you can get bigger chests. However, in this aspect, different people have different scales of how much they're willing to tolerate something that is actually tedious. Some are okay waiting 10, 15, heck even 20 hours until they unlock a quality of life feature. Others can only do 5 and they're done. Neither is right or wrong, it depends on how much time someone has to play a game and if they are limited on time. I cannot judge anyone for not being able to afford over 20 hours of dealing with a tedious mechanic until it gets better. In Pokopia's case, like, storage is really annoying, even though it can be solved later on. Another thing that will be a big detriment as to whether you can play this game or not is the fact that it is exclusive to the Switch 2. Now, there is a way to play on the Switch 1, and that is if you have a friend who owns the Switch 2 and owns a Pokopia copy, then you can get access to play with them on their own hosted island using SharePlay. Otherwise, you have to have the game yourself on the Switch 2. Another thing is that the physical copy of the game is keycard only. If you don't know what that means, basically you can buy the case with the cartridge, but the game is not installed on the cartridge itself. This is good for some people because you can sell that cartridge, whereas you cannot sell your digital copy unless you're selling your entire account, for instance. Now, I personally went with the digital edition because I am not really a big fan of these game keycards, but no judgment if you want to get the physical copy. I also saw the physical copy has some plushies that you can get, but I don't know, I'm not really sold on the whole game keycard thing, so it was a skip for me. I'd rather just have the digital copy. Now, if you reach this point of this video, I'd assume that you're still on the fence. You're like, I don't know, should I go with this game? Should I not? Well, hello, you gorgeous human being. It's Miss Bubbles. Squish the like button if the video has been helpful so far. And let's get to our this game is for you if, not for you if, and my verdict. So, Pokopia is the game for you if you love sandbox-style games with constant distractions of things to discover, unlock, and build. The world is your oyster, and you're gonna get so many creative opportunities. You also get many abilities to use, so if you don't easily get overwhelmed with a vast amount of gameplay loops, you should feel right at home. It's for you if you love games that reward curiosity. Exploration will always reward you for finding hidden recipes, new materials, story clues, and Pokemon habitat hints scattered all around the world. It's the type of game where, as I said, you're gonna be like, let me do this real quick. 3 hours later, you have done everything but that thing. And yeah, you're gonna be like, I don't know where time has went. It's also for you if you enjoy games that become part of your your daily routine, so logging in every day to get new rewards, new tasks, and steady progression over time, or if you don't mind time traveling to get access to specific time-locked events and Pokemon. However, Pokopia is not for you if you get easily overwhelmed with massive areas, having dozens of Pokemon and habitats scattered all around with comfort levels to manage on top. It's also not for you if visiting the game daily is a turnoff and you just cannot be bothered with having to go to the settings and change the time and day as a workaround. It's also not for you if you hate the limited storage in the beginning, as well as finicky controls, camera angles that can throw you off guard sometimes, and quality of life features that are absent here, which I'm surprised because in our genre of cozy games and RPGs, developers are putting in so much effort to get rid of the tedium of not having quality of life features, so I'm a bit disappointed why they implemented some of them, but they also left quite a few, which could have made this game just a lot less tedious. As for me, Pokopia is a massive time sink, and again, the streams show how I just couldn't stop playing. But overall, I'm loving unlocking new Pokemon, finding collectibles, exploring the world, and the gameplay loop is simply addictive. I also think that the price, for me personally, is worth it. But if you don't have a Nintendo Switch 2, then this is a different situation for you. You're gonna have to factor in the cost of the console along with the game, so it might be worth doing a little bit more research about whether or not you want to get a Switch 2 in the first place, and then you can also see if Pokopia might be a system seller for you, similar to how Animal Crossing is a system seller for a lot of people. Let me know if you've picked up the game, what you think about it so far, and watch this video next for my tips and tricks. Thank you to my YouTube and Patreon bubblies who make videos like this possible, and a shout out goes to the games I mentioned, Jake Logan, Stella, Grey Wolf, Emmy, Blessing, Fufei, and Charming Kara for going the extra mile. Until next time, stay bubbly.